Welcome everyone. I have such a beautiful message for you that I just received from my meditation, and some amazing messages and downloads since the 25th of June, I want to say. Today is the 1st of July, so welcome to July and happy birthday, America. Please see my Instagram, my happy birthday Instagram today. Okay, this was so beautiful. So, in my meditation that I just did for you, and I had invited in today, the Huna prayer has been coming up, and I had invited in Mother Mary, Kuan Yin, Saint Germain, and Lady Portia, and Hermes, as I was guided to. And the first thing I was seeing was this powerful shaman with a dark mohawk coming right toward me. Very serious and proceeding with strong intent on his horse now, because I didn't see his horse at first, and he had war paint on his face, but not in a warlike manner, although very serious, and he could have been at war, but I knew that he wasn't. He was riding swiftly, very fast toward me, but in a slow motion this way. This beautiful man with war paint on his face, his best dress, as I'm getting big connection here, as he morphs into a gentleman, as he approaches the crowd or group, a more proper appearance, and yet still on his horse, like a royal court, but more French than Brit, or Scottish perhaps. So I questioned who he was, first this dark Indian shaman energy, and now this proper kind of Frenchman with the twirled hat and feathers in his hat, very beautiful and proper dress. And I first was getting, royal Britain, but I knew it wasn't English. It was more, the dress was more fancy like French. And then the hat as well. And then I was getting this energy of Robin Hood as he slowly walked his horse very properly around the group, assessing the situation. His place, showy, very elegant, still serious with formal party hat and feathers. And then all of a sudden it came in that, aha, I realized that this beautiful knight was D'Artagnan. And as soon as the word D'Artagnan came in, I spontaneously cried. For the fourth dark night, the misunderstood loner, as D'Artagnan was coming up as Dark-Tanyan, and Artagnan it literally means the bear, Ursine bear, and it's also the name of a French commune, so there's that French energy. And so here, the energy of Ursa Major was coming up, which abbreviation is Uma, the mother, U-M-A, which is the mother bear energy, and D'Artagnan literally means of the bear. But Agnan also means the art anew, of the art anew, again, contra and back, the art of the return, right, the beautiful comeback, and also ownership and property. An agent came up, and then a realtor agent was coming up, very interesting, I wasn't sure why. But here's this beautiful energy of D'Artagnan, the lone fourth wolf, so to speak, but a bear, and a misunderstood loner. And then I was getting him being the fourth in the relay, as then Jesse Owens came up. Jesse Cleveland Owens, whose name was really James. He called himself JC, but when he went to school in Cleveland, when they moved, the teacher called him Jesse, not understanding his southern accent when he said Jesse, JC. So he was the unexpected fourth at the 11th hour, and I cried again. The 1936 games in Berlin, he was quoted as, and by the way, I started recording this meditation at 12:21. At the 1936 games in Berlin, he was quoted as the single-handedly crushing Hitler's myth of Aryan supremacy. And then just some details here from his life from Wikipedia. I don't know how perfectly accurate it is, but here's what information came through. He was the youngest of 10 kids, 3 girls and 7 boys. At age 9, he moved to Cleveland, Ohio, which was interesting because his middle name was Cleveland. His name was JC, but again, he became Jesse after the teacher mistakenly called him Jesse. I guess they recorded it that way, and so he became Jesse. He wanted me to bring up the other races in the relay that he won, that he wasn't supposed to be in, and to the Jews who were replaced in that race because they were Jewish and Hitler didn't want them running. Marty Glickman and Sam Stoller were the 2 Jews not allowed in the race. Of course, they covered it up. They didn't actually say it that way. They said that the other 2 runners were showing in better condition that day. And then the others that he won the relay race with, and I believe Jesse was the first runner, not the 4th runner in that race. The others were Ralph Metcalf, which was the other one who replaced the other 2 runners, and then Foy Draper and Frank Wyckoff. And the time was 38.8. Owens was quoted as saying that Hitler congratulated him, but he was actually snubbed by President Franklin Roosevelt when he got home. In his life, his friend Willard Ward, who was also a competitor from University of Michigan, invited him to work at Ford in Detroit in the Civil Rights Division. This was in 46, and the number 46 keeps coming up a lot, which is the 6 of Cups and that innocence. And he comes off in the movie as being a very innocent energy, and he is Virgo, so there is that purifying energy there. In the late 40s, he moved with his family to Chicago and opened his own PR agency. So there's that agent kind of energy of the realtor. And then in 1946, again, joined Abe Saperstein with the formation of the West Coast Negro Baseball League, which he was VP and owner of Portland, Oregon Rosebuds franchise, which he toured with, entertaining at breaks in the game by competing in races literally against horses, him as a man against other horses, which is really cool. The WCBA disbanded in only after 2 months. There were no real opportunities out there for him, which is so sad, right? What a beautiful person he was. He went to Rome for the 1960 Olympics and met Armin Harry, who was the German 100-meter champ. And in 65, he was hired as a running instructor for the New York Mets. He ran a dry cleaning business and worked as a gas station attendant, but ended up filing for bankruptcy. In 66, he was actually prosecuted for tax evasion. In 1955, Eisenhower enlisted him as a goodwill ambassador to promote exercise and freedom. And he continued on as well with some endorsement work, Quaker Oats, Sears, J&J, and in 72 retired to Arizona. The 72 Olympics, he was actually invited into Munich as a special guest of the West German government, and also tried to convince Carter not to boycott the 1980 Olympics due to Russia at the time. He was a pack-a-day smoker and ended up dying at age 66, and 66 is another number that keeps coming up, which is the Golden Gates and also the Queen of Pentacles. And he died in Tucson, March 31st, 1980. His birthday was September 12th, 1913. All right. Now I have to go back to the messages I have for you here today. Wow. It was such beautiful energy coming from them. It was so profound. Even before Jesse, when I saw the Indian with the mohawk coming at me, he was so beautifully profound. I cannot express to you, even before I saw him being on the horse. But again, the 4 Knights are coming up with that as well, and Dark Tanyan. Again, the art of the return. The second coming. Okay, so on the 25th of this month, I'd watched a video of Ann Tucker, and she was talking about the 3 Knights of Darkness. And she had talked about us, a reference to us being actually two souls in this lifetime and birthing the second soul. And she kept using the word elegant, which was really interesting because I had, a couple days prior to that, broke down the word elegant to the word elephant, which I brought to you. 3 days of darkness was coming up as 3, the high road of energy exchange, and then Da, the father, at the Y in the road, and then SOF, which is Sophia's darkness, right? The nothingness of the feminine. The lambda at the Y in the road, Sophia's nothingness, where Y was then coming up as Ia and L as Ella. And notice that Y and L are also L and Y of light years, where the message was coming up as Ia allows the light in. I was getting the energy, the Y is like the steering wheel, right, in the circle. And then the L is coming up in my messages as the quarter of the circle, right? So the circle with the driving wheel is the 3 roads leading home to the singularity. And the circle is the clock at 3 o'clock. Interesting, right? With JC is representing the quarter of the 90-degree angle as the L. And L, by the way, is also in that same corner in Africa, right? It's shaped like an L in the northeast corner. So we have the driving wheel, right? So the Y is coming up as the one steering or driving, centered. And then the L is the one shifting gears. The space between the silence, floating at 10 and 2 and 30 seconds, and literally coming up as 10:10 and 30 seconds, or 10:10:30. 3 o'clock or 12:15 reflects 5:45 and or 9:30 here. So again, that energy of 9 to 3 of Jesus on the cross, right? And the steering wheel of 3 parts are each 120 degrees, right? And then the L circle would be 90 degrees each in 4 parts. So there's the 3 parts and 4 parts too of the Empress and the Emperor, which is also the vertical and the horizontal together, right? The 3 is the eagle soaring across, and then the 4 is the L1 or lambda leap, the vertical leap. So coming up is 3 parts in 120 degrees times 3, but then 4 hours apart, or 4 parts that are 3 hours apart. And again, the 90 degrees, and then both the hours on both clocks would then be 30 degrees. It's just 30 degrees 4 times, or 30 degrees 3 times. And then I was getting holding down the fort at 10 and 2, or 3 1/4 hours through the 9 to 3. And again, the energy of Jesus on the cross. The clock also comes up as not actually 10 and 2, right? Because if it's at the 30 mark, it's not actually right on the 2, right? So it's still before the 2. And then the other hand would be then reflecting that. So it would be after the 10. So the time would actually be 1:51:30, which is the 1 of the magician, which is today's energy. Today is the magician in the tower. And then the 51, which is the King of Swords, and then 30, which is the 4 of Wands of the Union. And it was coming up as 51 seconds as well, left. 51 seconds left. And then seconds were coming up again, as in the art of the return and the second coming. And so it's again bringing up that energy of Gemini, the Gemini King of Swords, but then can reference the Virgo King of Swords as well, which are both mercurial energies, which came in with Hermes today. And the energy of equal distances from 3 sides was also coming up with the steering wheel, because I'd also listened to Matthias Di Stefano talking about the Isle of Amsterdam, which I had a really hard time finding on the map because it's tiny, tiny, tiny. but it's equal distance from Sri Lanka, India, and Antarctica, I think were the three places, are exactly equal distances to this island Amsterdam in the middle of the ocean, which he was saying overlays Texas. And he was talking about the eclipse, because he went to the dark side of the eclipse by being there in that location as opposed to here in Texas. And then the right, so the L was coming up as Egypt, and then the Isle of Amsterdam in the middle of the Indian Ocean coming up as the steering wheel, and the clock, right, the car and the clock. And again, time and space, but also light years is coming up here with the L and the Y. So then X and Y were coming up as when they meet, right? And X is the clock, it's just turned, right, on an angle into the diamond as opposed to the square, or vice versa. When X meets Y and shifts into fourth gear, to rise and shine and dawn a new day, which I actually posted the other day on my Instagram. So literally shows a, I'm going to give you the visual of that, right? So when X and Y, and there's the 1/4 L of Egypt, when they come together is the rise of the sun, the rising sun. The house of the rising sun is coming again, up again here, which that references New Orleans. And again, the art of the return, right? So New Orleans was destroyed and came back again. And I'm sitting right next to, and it's making me want to cry again. I'm sitting right next to a Michael Smithen's painting that I actually had painted in this square in New Orleans before it was destroyed. And so here's the second coming of New Orleans is coming up here too. That wasn't written down. That's something that just came up now. So then the YA and the EL was coming up of Adam and Eve, and again the AE of Ash, and the energy of E as well. As then the name Yael came up here, which I actually know someone named Yael, and I was getting the coupling of bookends. And then Sophia's Eve was coming up as 624, the 6 months from 1224, which would be Christmas Eve, right? Christ and Sophia. So 624 was coming up as Sophia's Eve. And again, the coupling of bookends, and Patty Duke was coming up like two of a kind, to cut and mantle. And this was coming up for Yael at the Y in the road, the bright light that causes a shift left. The Y of the driver and the L of the shifter. And again, remember the earth is tilted a little bit to one way as well. Yael means the ibex, the bull or wild goat antelope, the high priest exalted or ascended one, the bright light within the YL, which is the howling, the multi-matter, the forest, the firewood, and firewood keeps coming up as well. Ascending on the shoulders of the other, trading places, to climb, to be on top, now ascending simultaneously as one and apart. Dad drives Sophia's ark, or planet, right? This is our ark. The CE of Christmas Eve and the SE coming up, they want you to know this acronym of Sophia's Eve. So when you hear CE, you might remember Christmas Eve, and SE as Sophia's Eve, which I always see SE as sudden event or seeing with your eyes. And southeast comes up too, as I just said that Egypt is southeast. So I'm getting the seal too for CE. And remember, C is the leap from dot to dot. It's the whispering bench. It's the bridge, the rainbow bridge. And the E is the temple. It's the energy. Yesterday, the elliptic came up as well. And it means one, equal, and congruent to at the bridge, right? Leaping to the other side of the bridge, to the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. So Christmas Eve to Sophia's Eve, 6/24, then 6/25 would be Sophia Mass Day, where 6/24 this year is the number 38, which is the Queen of Cups, and 6/25 is 39, which is the Knight of Cups. And actually that night was the night I slept really well after having not slept for 3 alternating nights, right? So I didn't sleep, I slept well. I didn't sleep, I slept well. I didn't sleep, and then that night, the 24th to the 25th, is the 3rd time where I slept well, and I've been sleeping fine since then. It was around the full moon. And then I was getting the Ka symbol, Ka, which is this symbol here, a rough, very rough drawing here of the Ka symbol. And I was getting this as, if you've ever looked on a map, the Red Sea and then the Persian Gulf look like 2 arms. And I think I said that on my last video. They look like 2 arms going into the land from the sea, right? It goes from the Indian Sea to the Indian Ocean to the Arabian Sea into the Red Sea and the Persian Gulf. It's like the 2 arms, and then that loop at the bottom is like the Indian Ocean leading into the Arabian Sea, and then the 2 deposits there. And again, the 3 days of darkness as also coming up as TH, which is infinite, Re, which is an American Indian tribe, and then the day, which is dad, and the Y in the road, and then SOFDA is coming up as Softa, which is, I don't know how it's spelled, but I would spell it with a T, not a D, but it doesn't really matter because it's pronounced Softa, and it's grandmother in Hebrew. And then the rest of darkness would be Arkness, and I was getting Arkansas there as well. So the infinite shaman, the father or dad, drives Softa, which has dad in it, Softa-ness, which is also a nest or the cape or headland, drives Softa, cape or headland, wetness and rainy weather as the ellipsis or river-ness. And of course, Loch Ness kept coming up for me. So that's northeast in this country as well, that kind of energy coming up. And of course, Loch Ness in Europe. And through the Inverness, the nest condition of Softa's ark after infinite Re-da, or infinite shaman father, or American Indian, at the Y in the road, or that he is driving this. And I posted my America's song, Neil Diamond's song, and I always get shaman from him. I don't know why. But I get so much shaman energy from him. I feel it's not listed as his heritage to be an American Indian, but that's the energy I get from him. So anyway, I posted my message with that song today, which was really powerful. So then Reed-da versus Softa was coming up from 3 days of darkness, and Softa again is grandmother, and Rita was coming up as the shaman father, and then the grandmother, right? The wise woman and the wise father. The words that were coming up closest to Rita, R-E-E-D-A, were pain and suffering versus wisdom, with Softa, because of Sophia's wisdom, or read, O-A-N, I think it was, is to arrive, depart, or collide while driving, right? Very interesting. And then Rita, R-E-D-A, with only one E, is to thicken or make ready and orderly, right? To prepare things, make things nice, to restore, give back. And again, the second, the art of the return. And again, the roadstead was coming up, which is like a harbor, but not as protective as a harbor, right? More probably winging it. The nest prepared, advice or counsel, to calm, quiet, that it's almost done. Ready with honest intentions, the four-wheel carriage, heir and descendants. And also red satisfied and pleased came up there. And the word re, besides an American Indian tribe, means wild, drunk, rage, riddle, ready to laugh, wry, to sift or separate, throw off, small river or stream, roe deer king, and ace. Right? So the river run wild, I want to say, which was the energy of that shaman riding in towards me. Very pure and powerful. And then I kept getting the energy of the Sumerian area, Mesopotamia, and aligning, right? The belt of Orion is supposed to align exactly with the pyramids. And they're trying to show me something. I don't know if I'm understanding what they're showing me, but I'm getting the winter triangle, right? With Sirius, Sirius was thought of as twin planets, right? There's actually 3 planets now there too, but it was initially 2. And then the winter triangle is with Betelgeuse and Procyon. And Procyon is Sirius is the dog star, and Procyon is the little dog star. But Procyon stars were actually known in Mesopotamia as the twins. And then Betelgeuse has literally the twins Gemini on their shoulder. And then they were showing me to extend this triangle. And it exactly meets in Cancer and the Chariot, Auriga, which are both Cancer energies, right, of the crab and the Chariot. And the stars that they met with were both the small stars in each constellation, the Iota, which didn't have an other name. It was just the Iota, I and I. Very interesting, right? Cancer and Cancer, I and I, and here we are in Cancer season. So there was this triangle extending outward that's connected, and it was all connecting the dogs, but also the bears, which I just brought up the bears, which is Uma. And again, the energy all around the pyramids of Sumeria and Egypt and that area, and the Red Sea will come up today as well. The dog days of Sumer and Uma and Babel, which is that point of 3344, is just beyond Babel in the desert. The horse with no name. And again, the Mediterranean Sea there as the Strait of Gibraltar, and then which is where 3333 is in Egypt. Oh, that came up again yesterday too. I was doing some calculations, and 333 days for me is this year. So Egypt comes up, and then Russia was 4444, and then Turkey comes in the middle with the degrees of 37, 37, and 38, 38, which is the King and Queen of Cups in Turkey, and not far from Göbekli Tepe. And again, the Sphinx's second coming was coming. I wrote down here as well, with 19 seconds and 30 minutes. And 19 is the sun, and 30 is the union of the sun. And then that takes me back to Chichen Itza, right? Because we have the union with the sun, with the snake coming down the pyramid. And that came up as well. So the Re also comes up as rare earth element. And then Ida also came up, which is a branch or limb, an edge, a waiting period after a marriage or death. And Eddie was also coming up, and I call Mr. Ed, God, Mr. Ed. So an Eddie coming up, or a do-over of post-marriage or death waiting period. Again, the second coming versus the wise grandmother. To Re-Eddie versus the wise grandmother, the wild father who riddles, to throw off course or stream. The rogue deer king, ready to laugh in the face of anything. I can do anything better than you can. That song's coming up. And can't make heads or tails. And then he's talking about the two-headed horse, with one in the feminine in the ass or the butt, and then the masculine at the headwinds there. So again, the masculine here is coming up as this shaman running in at me, as the Re-Eddie, the second coming, versus the wise grandmother of Sophia, of Softa, the wild father who riddles to throw things off course and stream things in, as the rogue deer king he likes to be, ready to laugh in the face of anything, and can't make heads or tails of this. So you can't say I'm head and you're tails, or the other way around, because we're mixing it up. Okay, so now I have to go back to the 26th here. So on the 26th, there was some, this was, again, information about the lineup of Orion's belt with the Sphinx and the lion and the lamb was coming up as Chichen Itza. And this was from ancientorigins.net. And he was talking about, somebody else had pronounced the lineup around 10,000 years ago, 10,450 BC, but he didn't resonate with that theory, and he was talking about the lineup of planets from 36,400 BC, where the Lion constellation meets Mercury and Jupiter. And again, the Zep Tepi theory, which means the first time, or the golden era. At the dawn of the vernal equinox, the constellation Lion is right on the ecliptic and Orion on the meridian. Al-Natak corresponds to the Great Pyramid, number 1, and Mintaka as the second pyramid, aligns on the meridian. So he was talking about why he doesn't resonate with the first theory. But when he talks about his lineup on 36,400 BC, not only does the belt line up with the pyramids correctly, but all the planets lined up on, let's see, the planets were all positioned southeast hemisphere as though following the rising sun through its movement along the ecliptic. The moon is new just below the celestial horizon, ready to follow the sun towards the light. 7 planets along the ecliptic are in a perfect row, the rebirth of the new light to the floodland of Egypt for new crops, and then the moon to follow the god sun Ra, while all courtiers or courtiers as the planets wait for him and will be darkened by its vitality. And again, that was the same kind of description of the snake coming down Chichen Itza. In rising path, sun to Ra's first step at the foot of the Lion constellation, the Sphinx meeting Jupiter, the temple of the valley, father of benevolence was coming up for me, not written there, benevolence. Lion meets Mercury and Jupiter. Sun to Ra meets Mercury, temple of the Sphinx, the messenger of the gods, ready to, and again, that's that Hermes energy that I was asked to bring in today, ready to accomplish, give forth, begin. Again, the art of the second coming, and Zep Tepi. The Mercury to Jupiter with Regulus here, the Lion constellation, Leo, the 2 temples at Sophia's feet, the big mysterious columns built at the same time as the pyramids and represent Jupiter and Mercury according to his theory. In his climb to zenith, Sun Ra meets Venus in southeast quad, halfway from zenith, and unity of opposite. The astronomical wedding of planet and star, right? 2 things that shouldn't go together. Before walking into the sunset, the sun meets Mars to establish power, sitting on the throne like Osiris when ruled over Egypt, starting the age of Zep Tepi. And now the sun Ra at zenith goes through the ecliptic in the southwest quadrant where Saturn waits. And Saturn is the taskmaster, right? All planets as days of the week are lined up here on this ecliptic. From Saturn, Saturday, which is the death quad of rest. Sirius and Isis, her role after death of Osiris at the climax of Zep Tepi. So the builders gave her a key role and built a monument to celebrate the goddess who preserved Egypt, located southeast of Sphinx and known as the tomb of Khenthous, Khentkhaus. The Sirius position at 36,400, and the steel hieroglyphics where the symbol means bedside and then near, right? He was saying that it's misinterpreted here because it doesn't mean the same thing twice. It has two different meanings. So it first means bedside and then it meant near, or the second time. The first time meant besides and then near. Beside the pyramid near the Sphinx, Sirius is just above the horizon between Lion and Orion, the tomb of Khenthous. I don't know if I'm saying that right. In the spiral shape, the orbital movement of Sirius. Sirius angular separation from the east at 67 degrees 59'22, and the tomb from the east at 67 degrees 32. So he's showing you the almost exact alignment of the Sirius and Orion to the pyramids and to her tomb. The lower part of the tomb, the ancient throne of Isis. In the age of Lion, pre-10,450, the event marked the climax of amazingly developed civilization, who managed to colonize emerged lands and whose fingerprints have resisted passing of time, but left record of their presence, so to speak. So then all these words that keep meaning the same thing kept collecting, like Tep and Tepi also came up with some other words, like one of the meanings is to cut or here to tear, which we're coming up with the words science with Matthias, and ant means to cut, and Tepi and cope also means to cut. All of those words were coming up together. But they also mean, the tepi and cope also mean the mantle, right? The crown. So I had woken up on the 11th, to the sea of love, chain without salt, in stream of tears without fault, in Sumer salts. That was on the 11th. And then the 13th, I woke up to acquiesce. And on the 23rd, I woke up to tepi. And I couldn't remember Gobekli, the name, so I had to look that up. And also, there was a temple I ended up looking up in Sumeria, which was in the Hillel section, which is the shrine of the return of the sun, and that was on the 13th. And I was getting the energy of crouching tiger, hidden dragon, and the D, which represents the axis spin of the planet, or the year of harvest time, was coming up here. And D is also number 4. And crouching tiger, hidden dragon were both coming up as the Tigris River. So ESCE, which comes from acquiesce, and ADEL also mean the same thing. They both meant spring forth. And that represents Pegasus, because whenever he tapped with his hoof, he would create a spring. Ant, science, cope, and tepi, to cut or tear, and then crown, cope, mantle, and tepi were also coming up as the canopy above your head. So Iraq is shaped like an elephant, and I talked about some of this before as well. But Filipino literally means elephant's tusk, and Philadelphia is elephant, and then Adele, which is to spring forth, remember, and then Phia, which again also we have Delphi, which is the dolphin, and Adelphia, which represents the siblings, and again the city of brotherly and sisterly love. But Phil is also the elephant. Spring, instead of Pegasus springing forth, the elephant's foot, and again I have the elephant. I didn't do that on purpose. I just saw the elephant and I wanted to bring him with me today. Springing forth in the pH balance of Ea, and again the energy of Phi, and 0.618 of human connection, or 3.14 to 1.618, which is pi to phi, which there was a day of pi in 2015 where the numbers played out exactly, and then phi, 1.618, would have been January in 2018. Also, 2015 to 18 was coming up as a significant energy here from pi to phi, and again, phi is expanding outside the circle, but also putting pressure on the circle. All the gambler needs here is a trunk, and this has to do with the, this came up with the lyrics. I don't know if this was House of the Rising Sun, it might have been, but all a gambler needs is a trunk, and again, the elephant's trunk, and the elephant's trunk sprouts water onto Israel and then into the Mediterranean. The elephant's trunk springs water over Israel into the sea, the Gibraltar Strait, at 33 by 33 degrees. Again, martyr times martyr, which is again the battle at Israel. Of Ea and medicine, and Philadelphia is like the med capital of the world, right? There's so many hospitals here. Ea Med, USA, which is Medusa, births the god horse with angel wings, which Medusa birthed not only Pegasus, but Chrysaor, which is supposed to be either an actual human or a man boar, as opposed to a man horse, that leads to the mantle of Atlantis, where the Atlas Mountains meet the Atlantic Sea. And again, there's this big mantle drop-off from the Strait of Gibraltar into the Atlantic Sea. And also then the seahorse comes up, because Pegasus is the seahorse, but the East Coast is a seahorse if you look at it on a map. So Atlantis in ATL is water, and also the steep cliff, like we just talked about, under the water, and the stream of water, and then ant of Atlantic is to cut, the water that wears away and dulls the crown. Okay, so we talked about this. This came up in another way the other day too, where it'll come up, but one word means the mountain, but also the worn away hill, which was representing having aged over time due to the wearing of the crown. So again, on 6/11, I woke to sea of love, chain without salt, in stream of tears, which the Euphrates original name means stream of tears, and tears is tepi, tears, without fault or cracks, in Sumer salts, where the ocean's at, and again, Atlantis, Atlantic, and the Atlas Mountains, where at land is where the river meets the sea, and the rain meets the mountain top. The no fault line, just dulling over time. The wearing of the crown, listen to this whole section, is very profound. The wearing of the crown as the tears of rain roll down along the rock, causing crevices over time. And time is TI and ME, or source me, and wrinkles in my forehead. Number 4, the talking head. Again, 4 represents the emperor, but also the lamb to father leap. So again, the crevices being caused in the rocks over time, causing wrinkles in source's forehead, creator's forehead, as number 4, talking head. Not so salty when I cry, that the tears aren't so salty, but when the river runs dry, how salty I get. When salt meets fresh, meets TP. The mountain collects my tears, but like toilet paper softens and wears out over time, the soft spot on your head, a subtle reminder of how recently you were formed, and how long does it take for a mountain to be reborn? Right? So why do you expect things to change so quickly? On 6/13, I woke to acquiesce, which is acceptance without judgment to all that is. A key to spring forth, a horse with wings, Mr. Ed's little angels, armed with arches and bows and rainbow bridges and the arrows of intent. Back to TP again. Atlant is urine, But land is also land. At the water, urine, which breaks down to like you are. At the land, which is LA and ND, of angels end, which is LA and cliffhangers. When you're left at the right cliffhanger, you give it up and surrender until next week, right? You go, you have to wait, giving you the worst case scenarios in order for you to find peace at the Atlantic into the Pacific, which is to find peace with your current moment as to not get pushed off the cliff, to not object to the two getting married. All right, which is why you're always being given cliffhangers, because you guys have no patience to wait. So on 6/23, I woke to Tepi, as in Göbekli Tepe. But also, we just talked about the two getting married, right? So they're talking about acquiesce is literally when you ask, does anyone have any objections to these two getting married? And no one says anything, you're acquiescing to it. You're not saying whether you object or not, but you're letting it be, right? That's that acquiesce energy. But also the S at the end of acquiesce, a key S, which is to spring forth, like Pegasus's hoof. A key to spring forth. A key. A key. And I want to say someone's name. A key. A key. A key. A key. It's making me want to cry. A key. A key. A key. A key. A key. And I'm getting the shaman I saw, a key. I can't remember. My door in Costa Rica, it's relating it to that. Jen? Yes. What was the name on our door in Costa Rica? I wasn't in Costa Rica. Ah, shoot, that's right. I can't think of it. I'll have to look it up. But a key to springing forth. Oh, is Maka. Acquiesce. Maka. Maka. And I kept wanting to say it like, it was Maka. And I wanted to say it though like Japanese. Maka. And now I'm getting that shaman running toward me. Maka. Okay. Acquiesce. He wanted to get me to Maka, Aka. A key to springing forth. Maka. From the turkey, remind me of that. I have to write that down. From the turkey gobble, Maka. From the turkey gobble to the shrine of the return of the sun, which is Hillel in Samaria. Which is right, I think Hillel, that area is right between the two rivers, below Baghdad. Of the crouching tigress, which the tigress's name was Hidekel or Heidekel, which is Hide Ekel, and hidden dragon. So here we have the crouching tigress and hidden dragon all in one, and the Euphrates Parath, which is the stream. The first two rivers, where not sure which rivers they actually are, were the Pishon and the Gihon. Of the pies of Piss, so again the stream and Piss, they're talking about pee and poop, and then the Gihon, which is Gi, the homeland, the lazy river, which is the poop path, right? The pee comes out fast, the poop goes slow, the lazy river to hang in suspense of peas and fish on a fire, and back to urine. And it's funny too, because the earth scene is the bear, which was reminding me of urine. The tigress stalking and hidden in the 4D dragon's breath, as Euphrates is Parath, the pea's wrath or stream. First Pishon, urine on, and then the Gihon, which is the Gi 1-to-1, on the whole gastrointestinal district, specifically that word was being used, right? Not to just distract, but to distract and control you, the whole GI system, which then represents the military system as well, and then crouching in the bushes to go, I, tigress, with a drag on Euphrates' cat chasing their tail or stream at that. All from the Garden of Eden. ED and EN for me means Lord, but also it's code for me as JC. So ED and JC, or Lord, from the talking head on, or Lord, which is low road, of the sun, right? The central sun and the sun, right? The sun of the central sun. And then Eden also means vapor, where breath meets melting ice, melting the ice, after fired up in the plasma ethers, making its way down to the ground to get out of the rain. So the plasma is supposed to be the state. So it's going from air and water states, and plasma goes from, right, from frozen, right, so solid to liquid to air to plasma ethers, but then goes into the BEC or Einstein condensate, which is more where plasma requires energy to keep it going up, right, fired up. The Einstein condensate is frozen, so it takes much less energy to keep it going, right? That's now, I don't know if that's legitimately called the next state, right? So plasma would be the fourth, and then this frozen version would be the fifth state. And again, making its way down to the ground to get out of the rain, to pee and poo and brush their teeth. From ship Eden, the river run wild, for the earth must shed its water and crap before taking in through the mouth. All right, so the guides are saying that the earth has to poop and pee just like you do. And when you're born, your pooper, and this came up from Matthias as well, that your pooper and your mouth is created before the other organs, because you can't have, right, you can't create until you have something to throw the trash out into. So like clearing air from your pipes or your GI tract, you must create a desert before the floods for a fresh meets salt start. So now they're talking about the planet, right? Needs to, get down to desert, like now where Eridu was, and Ea is now just a desert. There's nothing there anymore. But it has to get to that state, like regenerating farmland in a way, right? It must create a desert before the floods for a fresh meets salt start. All right, and the energy of like fresh meeting salt in the heart, right? The fresh water that we drink, and then the salty water that is our body. Just like you must connect with source and be source ed, which source is sour C, and Ed he's calling himself Sweetie. So you must earth on temple access spin, sour C and sweet Ed. Again, the mixing of the two different energies of salt and fresh, and then sour and sweet. It takes just the right alignment, a line which is 2 dots, and a leap of intent, which is the TP or tepi. There must be arousal, a rising, a new dawning, a leap in a crowning moment like double Dutch, multiple lines, ropes, or cords coming at you or underfoot all at once, right? Like the horizontal and the vertical, dancing between both at the same time, where things slow down to what seems to be a complete stop, to take you to another world where your dreams come true. Cry me a river, and I'll build you a mountain. Which, remember, mountain is the people's remembrance. As the rock-y ocean sea in a slimy rendition of how I met your mother, or how and became. All right. As the rock-y and ocean sea in a slimy rendition of How I Met Your Mother, or Sal-E and Harry. So it's coming up as Sally and Harry, but with another accent of Sal-E and Harry, and became we and I do. So there you have the married again, because married is Mar-Ed, the sea of Ed, which besides Mr. Ed and extra dimensional, ED is also E of Earth, and D, which represents the axis spin of the Earth. Okay, so the sea of Earth, covered by Ed, married. But married is also married, right? The sea at the Y in the road of the Earth, right? Where we connect in that vortex, right? Because where salt meets fresh is where when the river meets the ocean, the salt water is heavier, so it pushes down and pushing the fresh water up, causing a vortex, especially under an island or land. So there's this energy created there. I'm getting all sorts of married, right? Like when Harry meets Sally, or when Married to the Mob. They're giving me all of these different scenarios. And then married is also coming up as the Mar of the sea and the reed, right, of the land, the reeds, which is an Egyptian symbol as well. And married, there's just something about Mary, and that's that divine access spin of the Earth. The C and the Y in the road, which is the vortex, the driver, right, who's driving the planet, the ship. If the Red Sea, so Mar is sea and D is land, it's the Earth, and Y is the 0 point between land and sea, like the sand at the beach. And Sandy and Danny, and again Dan tribe is coming up with that. Sandy and Danny and Sally and Harry. So sailing, Harry, and Sandy. I have to write it down. But if the Red Sea, let's see, the Fool's Journey northeast to the dawning of the Queen of Cups at the Bat Cave and the E Tower. It's coming up as the Bat Cave and the E Tower, which is the masculine and feminine hearts coming together in the infinity symbol, right, where the hourglass is the middle of the infinity symbol, and then the two outer halves are each their independence at the Tower of Babel. If the Red Sea is the vagina, which was coming up as here, with coordinates of exactly 22 degrees of the Fool, north, and 38 degrees of the Queen of Cups, east, where Northeast Africa meets West Asia, the inlet of the Indian Ocean, the Persian Gulf is then the pooper, and Terra, or Tehran, is where creation starts, clearing the decks for a fresh desert start, as Indian Head, Northwest Africa, guards the Indian Ocean to birthing Brazil from the mouth of the Andes Mountains, a head-crowning place to chase the tail end of the last race, the 80 days around the world out of the soft spot of the head, a Costa Rican umbilical cord through Chichen Itza, of 2 Indian heads and peace talks, as North America is the crown that they wear. Ancient Atlas, and I'm getting big connection right now, the ancient Atlas wise one with Middle East behind them, all stoned, rock and desert, as young ones are coming up, where rivers meet seas, the vortices. Okay, so there's like new creations coming up at those arms, where the rivers meet the seas. And Mar means seas, but it's also mountains. It's M-A-N-R, which is mountains, rockets, and housing, expanding at the steering wheel of divine access spin, or our planet. And again, going back to the symbols of Y and L, of Y, the L being the fourth quarter of Egypt on the clock of 3 o'clock, and the Y being the steering wheel, where all rivers run into one. So the Y is coming up as the seas, and the L is coming up as the land, or the emperor, 4 quarters, and the 3 of the empress as the seas, or the soft spot, right? And the bladder comes up with that as well, where he's the pooper and she's the peer, 2 peas in a pod, and the 3 is the empress and the eagle soaring horizontally. As the 2 circles, the singularities come together, is also the Vesica Pisces, which is the fish bladder, which allows you to float up to the top. It's got like a dual system, like it's got a twin bladder system, where you can sink down below or you can rise to the top with air. So we have also the 2 Ys meeting each other here in the Vesica Pisces, set up for Divine Feminine with 90 degrees, the square or diamond of shared space between. So again, what was coming up was this visual of the 2 pyramids coming together, okay? And as soon as I saw that, I saw the Israeli flag, and it's also bringing up the Merkaba coming together, right, as the 2 triangles come together. And in this hourglass, right, where you have the infinity symbol like this, in this hourglass shape where they meet and overlap at the middle, they may be giving up less than half to keep their more than half. But then when they have less than half together, that becomes more than these 2. So it becomes more than you are alone type of energy in this hourglass or corset, the setting of the core in place, the phi space of less than half and more than half, right? The 2 lines of phi. That Earth is, by the way, almost 25,000 miles, pole to pole. Pole to pole is, they're both almost 25,000 miles, and in the other direction, it's slightly different. And then kilometers is about 40,000 in each direction. They're just slightly different. The radius is 3963 miles, where between the poles is 3950 miles. So they're just slightly different. But for whatever reason, I needed to bring those numbers up for you. So, and you notice too, right, it goes, there's this square, a square or quad of shared space that they're talking about, this energy of the triangles that comes together. So that would mean that it doesn't mean that the triangle has to be at a right angle, because the square has to do with the 2 tips coming together in a square. I don't know what degrees it has to be for that, but the winter triangle is not an exact right triangle. It's actually less than that, from what I've seen anyway. So the underlying energy here, let's see what I have, is the 9 of Pentacles, and that was from 26. So this read with the 9 of Pentacles, the guidance, trying to get my picture back, Just making, I want to see if this is the right picture to show you. With reflection, the moon. Okay, it's this one here. All right, so what I'm about to read to you is this message here. It was just random cards from the SIRIAN Starseed deck and the clarifiers from Rider-Waite. Okay. So the underlying energy of the Nine of Pentacles, guidance, reflection, Luna, the King of Swords, and the Two of Swords, the Nine of Pentacles reversed with the Hierophant reversed and the Hermit upright, where one is maybe one is like an overworked dependent, or it's not working out and powerless in a divorce, or breaking contract or Taurus in chart, and getting the Hermit counsel or Virgo with Cancer in their chart. As the King of Swords is upright with the Two of Swords and comfortably numb, the King of Pentacles with Justice both upright are looking back at suffering in silence, or a sister perhaps at work, overwhelmed, triggered, or in a breakup, sweating it out, detoxing and getting over hurts from the past, or in a falling out with the Page of Swords reversed, or one who's really immature and spouting off, or lying and spying, or just negative all the time. As the Emperor is upright here as the first card out, and the King of Wands upright, and I want to take this off before I forget, and the King of Wands upright with the High Priestess destined to get their message or delivery from the King of Swords, or an air sign, that can be Virgo too. Pisces or Virgo, Libra or Aries and sister, Libra keeping themselves in check. As the King of Swords is uninspired or without passion, or out of nowhere, the Magician in energetic exchange, or the Arrows of Love, with Gemini or Virgo upright in a flurry of activity, Divine Justice upright and the Two of Pentacles reversed, needing to surrender to all that is. The Chariot is reversed and broken and not aligned, as the Ten of Pentacles reversed, family, business, or community of dysfunction or loss, is coming out with the truth to Hermit to shed light with the King of Cups, who's invested in ending conflict or a losing battle, weak needing courage or strength, or a pet who needs training here. Standing up to or at the dock, or going boating, or sending someone off to share or be charitable, or settling out here. As the Nine of Cups reversed may be dissatisfaction, or just someone who's never satisfied or unhappy alone, who's getting over a broken heart with the Queen of Swords reversed, one-to-one recovering, letting the awakened Queen of Pentacles reversed back in, or two woke them up, and the Empress is under the radar, powerless, or but she's upright, with a dependent at home or without options here, keeping to self impatience or energy clear from the fallen angel, the Ten of Cups with the Knight of Cups upright offering, so this happy family or emotionally fulfilled family with the Knight of Cups coming forward offering help to the Page of Wands reversed to complete a cycle or project, or to make the world right again. As the Page of Wands reversed could be a divorcee in love with the Page of Pentacles upright, with Sagittarius and Pisces, Taurus all reversed, and then Gemini upright, perhaps an invite or opportunity here, or a kid's party. All right, now we're at the 27th, and Thursday was being broken down as in Infinite You Are Sophia Day. So in that feminine energy. And we've had some crazy storms the last couple nights. And my poor flowers, they finally came out, and my raspberries were pummeled. My blueberries are still there, but the raspberries got pummeled, and so did some of the flowers. But we needed the rain because the grass was so dry. It was very desert-like, and it's not usually like that here in this location anyway. So on the 27th, my day was opening up with this energy from the 14th and 15th, which is the angel and the devil. And the angel was coming up as the question put out there, and the devil day as the response that comes in. So on 614, was the question, as then the Lord Master blasts or explodes in response to support. The horse bridge explosion to support Master. It was coming up as this suspension bridge. And water sounds were coming up, tree sounds, Lord and Master sounds. And again, I'm getting them leading me to poop and pee again. But the hippocampus coming in. The hippo is the horse. Horse, see, and poos, which again is gives me energy of amps and energy, but also means to support Lord Master. And horse also stinks. The horse sees and poos, right? So again, poop's coming up again. So A-OK as Adam OK, and E-or as Eve or, right? One's OK and one's O-R. So the OK is coming up here as, and I did Instagrams on all these that are more fresh, so whatever messages that came through that day may be slightly different than today, because I was getting more messages as I was doing the Instagrams. But A-OK post Instagram, and the A of the masculine energy is the rocket, right? And it's also the one, and the human kinetic energy coming up there with the A-OK. And then the Eeyore and A-OK as Eve and Adam. And 3 words came up with the O-R-O-K, which is babies, ox, and antiquity. Oh, that day I also posted the A-OK symbol on Instagram because there's a distortion of the A-OK symbol of the 3 sixes. But to not let others distort your perspective, which is a positive energy of 6s, right? 6 is love, 66 is the Queen of Pentacles and the Golden Gates. And the 3 sixes is 18 of Kai, but it's also more love to give. So the 1, 6, and 11 come up as 18, again, of the A-OK. And the energy of 14 to 15 to reach out and respond, right? The light and the dark, the angel and the devil. The 34 of the energetic exchange of when Harry met Sally, or how you met. And it's interesting too because the year I'm in is 34 this year, which is the same year, right? It's 9 years since we met. And right, there's some crossover points coming up here. As we go into the next yearly cycle, which is different for everyone because your yearly cycle starts at your birthday. And the number year that you're in is the year, right? So my birthday is September 18th this year, 2024. So if you add that up, it's going to be, I'm going from a 34 year into a 35 year. And so you can figure out your own numbers that way as well. But the year doesn't start with the calendar year, it starts with your birthday. So your year is always different from the calendar year, unless of course your birthday is January 1st here in the United States. So I pulled cards from my past life deck, and we had the underlying energy of the authority figure with Saint Germain, which is my Ascension deck also. And we called in Saint Germain today as well, and the Lovers with number 18, commanding miracles of lovers' romance, as the underlying energy of health after the unicorn put their sparkly hammer down, right? So the underlying energy being health, right, or medical care. After the unicorn has this sparkly gavel, put their hammer down, the wise authority figure of Neanderthal caught up in the Celtic cross and the snake in the tomb of the carrot or the ground, whether surrounded or buried. And then lies kept coming up as lice, like I don't know if it's Scottish or Gaelic I'm getting, or Celt, right, since the Celtic energy came up. but someone who would pronounce lies or lice as lice or lies, you know. So steering wheel on axle, the gavel was coming up as that energy, as the steering wheel on the axle of your tires of your car, as the judge driving here. Persecution and inquisition, as she orchestrates, and orca was coming up in orchestrates, the path and rates, the gavel, the snake on a carrot, Sophia's Nike on a car, rowing at the cross, at the intersection, right, where vertical meets horizontal. Orchestrates the gavel with right hand and musical instruments in left. Those persecuted are now in command of the arts, as remember D'Artagnan came up, the art of the second coming. Now in command of the arts. As angels watch over male to female duet back to back, the high priestess here takes command of the senses, while and that's the higher self energy, takes command of the senses while the angels keep vigil, sending compassion. The underlying energy of the sun here, which comes up as number 10, and again the reminder that no one cannot serve two masters. Let's see what else is coming up here. So these are the cards that were coming up from this message here, yeah. So we have the past life deck, the Ascension deck, and then the Fortune deck at the bottom there. Okay. You can't serve two masters, and then June 15th came up again as the response from Father. The underlying energy of Father, and the first card being unrequited, and then Medicine Man or Woman. And then I pulled again, and the underlying energy was the Medicine Man or Woman, with the first card out being the Knighthood, and then D'Artagnan came in today. And I was being reminded that while she hurted, right, she got her feelings hurt, he was thrown into his work. He hurted. So she hurted, ED, notice Ed's in there, and he hurted. So her hurted is she eating dessert. She, the who, as in human, root, and her, H-U-R, T-E-D, or Ted, top dog, Ed. She was fathered, source direct. He, thrown into his work as herded, he, instead of having dessert, he deserted, or eating the dust. He, instead of being the human root, took the he road, which was her dead, D-E-D, which is literally Mother Earth, E-D-U, or he was mothered and hugging trees. So again, learning the other energies. And again, the angel and the devil, and remember devil backwards is lived. Right? To have lived or not to have lived is the devil. To not have lived. So then on the 27th we have the energy of the next first card was the sun, number 10, and 24 of Lemurian healing, with the 51 of Archangel Metatron's cloak, and 32 and 8 of Lady Portia's and the Huna prayer. And the Huna prayer is where you direct a request in positive terms to the master, angel, or guide of your choice. And you state it 3 times, and then you sit with your palms up and you say, may the rain of blessings fall, and so be it. And you do that for 30 days. So that was coming up. So again, you're being asked to do a spiritual practice to regularly connect you with them. So you keep asking for their help. The 10 of the sun, the 24 of Lemurian healing, and the King of Swords of Archangel Metatron's cloak, and again the canopy, and Lady Portia's Huna prayer. And remember, the masculine comes up as the land and the feminine as the soft sea. In the energetic exchange destined, the leap of human destiny, the Queen of Wands, which is also Omega, and Q4, or quarter 4, the last leg of the race, with the King of Swords. And the Queen of Wands and King of Swords comes up here. As the 32 journeyman with good news of infinite dance and strength, Lady Portia with Saint Germain underlying here, asking you to bring an aspect of your life into the 5th dimension, to be generous-hearted, open-minded, and fair, and step aside from judgment. With the Huna prayer, with Hermes from Atlantis to Hawaii, establishing the Kahuna tribe, and Huna prayer. Address your, and like I told you, address your prayer, and then may the rain of blessings fall, and so be it, for 30 days, and then stop. Saint Germain exposes, and the cosmic heart was under Saint Germain, exposes the divine masculine sun and the golden light to take decisive action today, an energetic exchange destined to Lemurian healing, to lay stones in the earth infused with all your guides, angels, and masters, and source. When 2 or more are gathered with humility to focus these crystals, powerful healing takes place. Wearing Metatron's cloak, the King of Swords, to stand in your power and guide others forward with a loving heart, open mind, and without judgment at 101, as the Lovers is the next underlying energy, with number 18, after the Angel, number 20, and the Unicorn, 33, the Moon, 21, the Flowers, 11, and the Mountain, which is 22 here. The Christed, or Christ and higher self, right, pulling him up to his higher self, the Christed world of 2 and 1, the feminine and masculine, the sun and the moon, guided by the stars, when the moon is in the 7th house, and Jupiter aligns with Mars. When the sun and moon are guided by the stars, as the 33 rainbow bridge is complete, collective aligned flowers or flowers, the angel orchestrated, and notice orchestrated is orchest 8 ED. So the orchestra of the infinite ED and the unicorn, amazing grace, God's race. And the Gur of God, Gur of the tiger, ace in the hole. The moon and the earth are now complete. Angels and twins, as the stars guide the moon and the earth to align with 6D 11 via the 5D station 22, when the moon and the earth align. And the numbers came up as 2, 33, 21, 11, 22, and 18. Excuse me. And then there's 2, referencing 2 33s, which is that 66, is the Golden Gates, and also the Queen of Pentacles, and coming up as complete, and the 33 is the Rainbow Bridge. So we're talking about twin bridges here are now complete, because you needed a way there and then a response to come back. Okay, so that's how they're bringing up the twin bridges. The 66 is a two-way bridge, complete with Golden Gate 11 and 22 and Lover's Mountain 33. 2 eagles soar together as the 3-3, as 2 and 1, becoming 11 and 22, which is then the 2 dots and 2 dots, so 2 colons in a row, and then the Q, 2 is the Q, so 2 Qs is the Vesica Pisces, but with the tail, right? So the tail of the first Q leads into the second circle of the Vesica Pisces, but then that Q also has a tail extending out to others. 2 leaps in, 2 leap out, and 2 leap in. 33 is the Rolling Stones. The Rolling Stone for me is the 3MEW. It's all the same shape, rolling. The 33 is the Rolling Stones begin losing? Oh, no, it looked like losing. I couldn't think if it was choosing or losing, but I wrote to sing. So the rocks begin to sing. The Rolling Stones begin to sing. 3-3 WWEEMM. Air, water, fire, and earth. Pisces, Virgo, Libra, Aries, and Cancer here. as the Lover's full moon was 621. And again, the energy of the 18th to the 21st, where Lovers and the Knight of Wands twins, the Phoenix and the Snake. The 25 is the Phoenix rising here, and the 28 is the twin flame snake. The snake on the carrot stick, which is 2, not 1. The Lovers Knight of Wands with the slow burn twins know this. The Phoenix and Snake, the 35 of the Wounded Warrior, which I just told you I'm going into my 35 year. The 35 of the Wounded Warrior surrendering wishes, where their wishes are ready to come true. With the 19 of the Sun and Leo energy of luck. And remember, it was the flower or flower moon 523, which is now done. And now the strawberry moon 621 peaked at 908, and 9 and 8 kept coming up together in the strawberry moon, which is the fruits of your labor, right? So we have the flower fruits come up. Now the fruits came out, 621. The sun and the moon at 908. Right, which is coming up as Cancer and Leo, but also Virgo's coming up here with the 9 on the other side. A dark full moon opposite at the solstice, where the moon really low in the sky appears to be very big. Right, so the moon is, the dark energies of the moon it's appearing to be big, but it isn't actually, it's an illusion. And I think the full moon, I know the next, the partial lunar eclipse is September 17th to the 18th, which also came up here. So they're just taking me through July and August and September aspects to see what might be coming up, right? And we have that eclipse, the 17th to the 18th, depending on where you are. And of course, the Olympics start. I think it actually starts on the 24th, but the opening ceremonies I don't think are until the 26th, but it's coming up as the 25th being the official Olympic start, according to this energy. And the 725 is the Chariot and the Knight of Wands, Chariots of Fire, the torch, the opening ceremonies, but I think the opening ceremony is on the 26th. The strawberry moon also is the blooming or green corn moon, the hoer, the birthing moon, the egg-laying moon, the hatching moon, the honey moon, and the mead moon. And of course, Juno, the Roman goddess of marriage, as we left Juno behind yesterday. And now we're in the honeymoon stage, is what I'm being told here. So like I said, there may be some crossover points in your charts this year as the Phoenix and the Snake rise together. And again, with twin bridges here. And a lot of details coming up here. And this symbolism was very cool. So you know how I've been talking about the Taurus and the Trident, right? The Taurus is 2 are us, like Toys R Us, and Trident is 3, and then dent, or D''ENT, which is of the giant talking tree, ENT. And they're being symbolized as the trident, of course, is the pitchfork of Poseidon, and then the Taurus is coming up as the Y in the road, but the curved Y in the road, the other way, right? So the trident hugs, right, because it's more circular, whereas the Y hugs the other way, right? It's reaching out. So the arches go opposite ways. And when you put the trident and the Taurus Y together, the 2 of us, the 2 are us, and the talking tree, the giant talking tree, you literally get, right, the Phoenix is being shaped like this. I'll show you those 2 cards too. And then, so the Phoenix with the Y in the road becomes the plant growing, the leaves here, the flowers, petals, and literally becomes this energy, which is the infinity symbol, bent in. If you pinch the infinity symbol, it becomes the butterfly, which is, this is the heart. And there's 4 hearts within the heart of the 4 chambers, is coming up as this energy here. And there's the apple there as well. So, and again, what that came up from the Fortune's Oracle, right? So here is the heart squared, right? When it becomes square, it becomes an open book, the living library. And here's the 35 of the wish. And then the 19 of the 4 heart clovers of the sun, as these are brought together, is what I just showed you. But I want to show you another card too. Yeah. So it's very important because it's the underlying energy was the lovers here, and then together the dragon and the snake in this dragon year, right? And as the snake rises of the twins and the twin bridges here, right? There has to be a request and a response coming in here. Again, the two-way bridge as the lovers in 18, which is Cancer energy, and then again the slow burn of the Knight of Wands and the twin flames and choice of path here. Okay, and again the Y and the trident both have that fork in the road, right? The forked tongue of the snake, and again the trident of the fork, the literal fork, to pick up the apple when it falls off the tree, is also the energy that was coming up here. So the lover's health and Saint Germain of the cosmic heart, and the health of the 9 of the cosmic heart prior to the 34 energetic exchange of Saint Germain, and the 18 of lovers. Remember, Saint Germain is the violet flame, and Lady Portia is the Lady of Justice. So it's that energy of transmutation and Lady Liberty. And again, this shifting of your energies this year, where they shift, it's all in the timing. It has to be at the right timing when the vertical and the horizontal cross right at the right angle. And again, the 8 of Wands and 9 of Wands came up here together, which is again the 8 and 9. And remember when I talk about the 6, 9, 8 pod, of the 2 peas in a pod, the 8 and 9 come in simultaneously. Janet, can you do me a favor? Jen? Jen? Oh, I don't know if she's got earphones on. I hope you can't hear, but the long guys are here. I just wanted her to close the door. So we have 8 and 9 coming up here, which is also 89 for me is Phi, and the 98 was the human temperature. But also when you create the 6, 9, 8 pod, you have the 7 key, and then the 9, 8 come in simultaneously, because you can't have one without the other. The phoenix and the snake make the heart squared, the open book, the living library. It's kind of like E.T.'s heart too, right, when it lights up. And the 4-leaf clover of 4 hearts. The 25 of the Knight of Wands phoenix blasts off, and the 28 of the twin flames with the forked tongue of the snake in the road. Again, speaking tongues, triggered to speak. And it's coming up as hisses, like his. The magic potion at the Y in the road, with the dragon and the snake that becomes the flowering, the budding flower. The 2, 5 and the 2, 8 of Q. 2 is Q, greased lightning. 5 and 8 are greased lightning. And 58 is also the 4 of swords, that when it's reflected, 8, 5 becomes the grounded union, the 5D connection. The Knight of Wands jumps into the pod here. The 5 and the 8, freedom and power. And power often is regarded as the power of the human body, which is interesting because that's Jesse was sent out to talk about exercise and freedom. So here it comes up again as the 5 and the 8. And again, the combination of those two, which comes up as a miracle here. And 148 comes up. The open book, I want to show you some more, but I have to close the door. Jen? Jenna, dear? What? Can you please close the door? Huh? Can you come here, please?
I'm cooking, yes.
Just for 2 seconds.
Oh.
Can you please close the door? Thank you. Sorry about that. Thank you. Okay, so we're at 5 and 8 in freedom and power. And then they're showing me, right, the squared version and then the softened edge version, right? Like the circle versus the square. And when you have the circle and the square of the heart, you have like the squared off version, and then you see the energy lines here, right? That's like the knotty lines showing the energy, the leap of arcs from point to point. So the open book of the living library is the wish, and then the 4 quarters or chambers of the heart is the luck. And remember, the devil backwards is lived. As the heart activated is turned on, it's alive to read. The heart in her hands, the phoenix as the Knight of Wands, all ablaze, and the twin flame with 4 heads like the snake and speaks in tongues. The dragon overlays the snake or the chain. The budding, and then I was getting from the wedding planner, buddy buddy, so I guess we're planning weddings here. When the guy her father arranged her marriage with says, I thought we just be a buddy buddy. That's what I was literally getting here. The dragon overlays the snake, budding as buddy buddy. And the Juno wedding planner, the heart on over 4 chambers, on all 4 cylinders, with the phoenix fire and the forked heart tongue fire. The snake and the 4-leaf clover of earth. One sees the fire blast off outside, one you don't. You don't see it because it's inside. The other sees earth coiling and rising outside, but the other you don't see grounding and integrating their heart chambers. And again, there was this energy of Leo versus Virgo heart there. And again, then we get the butterfly heart here with the 4 heart chambers, and again, the flower of the phoenix and the snake all coming together in the heart here. The 35 of the 9 of Wands wounded warrior surrenders to the 36 10 of Wands Atlas and the sun, leaving the wounded warrior behind. His activated heart in her hands, sharing quarters and pages. Bound binding flame and hydra wheel, which is the plant that looks like a pinwheel, with a naked cylindrical body and oral openings surrounded by tentacles and multiple heads. And the water snake breathing fire, the water snake and breathing fire and earthy water reflecting as perfect complements, unsure where one begins and the other ends. As the picture I showed you of the heart, the butterfly flower, living library heart, of inspire and expiration, which is to breathe in and breathe out. The dragon's breath, and notice dragon is drag on. The dragging on of inspiration and expiration of the breath, where the snake's forked tongue, or Sophia naked, and then again we have the trident there, or the pitchfork, and the 4K'd T on goo, and violin was coming up, where goo is a cheat or swindler, a scoundrel, a thief, a gambler, but also the violin, the fiddler. And the butterfly band-aid was coming up too. Okay, so all of this energy coming up is the snake forked tongue and the 4K'd T on goo instead of on glue, on goo and violin, or the fiddler, and we've only just begun. Drag on inspiration with expiration date, as of snake, SNA is the key, right? Snake key, which is the dream sleep, is the key that triggers the H, which is the prosthesis of 1-to-1 key, the extension bridge of SNA1 less than E, but slow less than newly hatched egg. So this at a snail's pace is coming up here, right? Slower than a newly hatched egg. It's slow. You need to be patient. Her lion's heart in his fiery hands, his sweetheart in her sticky part. End. They're very funny. And then again, they're showing me the energy of the infinity symbol, right, as the flower, and also chromosomes are like this, right? They're like 2 8s each, so you have 2 sets of 2. Folded together becomes this heart that I just showed you with 2 eggs or twins, and again, here's the infinity with the hourglass in the middle and the 2 separate parts. The 2 eggs are twins, infinitely squeezing to fit in one pod. And there's 4 of them. So 4 8s and 4 hearts, the bridge bow and the binding tie. In the hourglass of the cracked open egg, our GI ass comes up as glass. Right? The G is the T's, the tiny T, or the human's leap to connect again, right? There's a double leap. You have to leap out and leap back in, and then ass, and there's 4 of them. The horse's head and the donkey's ass plus 1, a monkey's uncle. The horse's head is 1 to 1, or C, and he, AD, the whispering bench. And the Don key and the Mun key is with the uncle, which is 1 key, because CLE is key. So D on key and M on key, and then the monkey's uncle is the 1 key, the one who won key. And again, we're going into the Olympics. And the 3 of them end up being DMW, which is the divine masculine 1, or the divine masculine and the W of the divine feminine of the female energy, the woman. But also, they're both, the W represents the 2 U's, the feminine's perspective, whereas the M represents the mountain of the masculine's perspective. And the D is the planetary perspective of the planet on the axis, spinning. The DM on Kiki, on Kiki. And Kiki is also cake, Keiki. And it's coming up as the DM Anon. So instead of Alcoholics Anonymous, we have DM Anon, and the Kiki, or cake. And then cake again is the group that sings Going the Distance. To crack up and make digs, and armpit. To trench and small stream, can't hold his pee. As the divine mountain and the earth mother on divine axis spin, as one spins and one co-creates until the D spinning becomes the M, which is the 1v1 of co-creation, then comes together as 111, which is the same as 2 parentheses and 1 in the middle. So that until they become the same and can resonate with each other, even though they're 2 perspectives of the same thing, they have to come into the right form, you know, like ice or air or liquid, in order to meld and come together. The spinning planet here is coming up, is seen. The still mountain is heard. The spinning planet is seen expanding out. 1 second, I'm just looking for my pen here. The spinning planet is seen as expanding out, and the still mountain is heard, pulling it in. And again, there's always going to be 2 different perspectives here, dancing. At 333 is the persecution and inquisition of the sun number 10 and the phoenix number 25, and the art of Lemurian healing, which is the art of the return. The art of the Lemurian healing 24, which is the Queen of Wands and Omega, and healing with the snake of the twin flames. Again, the two-way street, the art of the return, the second coming. The angel's cloak and mantle's wish, the king of swords and nine of wands is surrender. The masculine and feminine, and then the Lady Portia is the journey, 32, with the 8 in the strength of the prayer, and 19 with any luck, which is Leo, bringing good news and surrender to the sun via the central sun, 8 or 91. All right, so 19 is the sun, but the reflection of that is the central sun, 91, which in like Roman numerals, you would bring the 1 to the 9, so it would be, actually that would come up to 10. But for whatever reason, it's coming up as the strength of Leo, right? So we have 19, which is Leo, and then the 91 is the central sun. And I'm getting the strength of the -1. Oh, it's the return, right? So the rays of the sun, they have to go both ways. And I talked about that a lot too, about the divine feminine's wombs, the phased rays of the womb that connect with the rays of the sun, right? The daughter womb and the son's womb, so to speak, the outward and the inward. So then I was re-listening to my last video on this day on the 27th, just for a little bit. And I was getting more downloads as I was listening. So when I was talking about Charlie in France and the bombing, it was coming up as the use of Charlie in the Vietnam War. So I don't know if Vietnam's being pulled in here somewhere. So Charlie was coming up as, you know, the way the Americans would code name, but it was, Charlie often was, you know, misused as a slang term for Asian energy. So that was coming up, as well as, I said CO2, but I wasn't talking about CO2. So carbon dioxide was coming up also. And then Lucy is the elephant down in Ventnor by Atlantic City, along with Snoopy and Charlie was coming up as Viet Cong and the North Vietnamese. And again, like I said, an older racist term for Asians in general, or a nameless person. And what I talk about in the desert, the horse with no name at 3344, just outside of Babel, right? It's just Babel, those kind of terms. And then in 1912, both of the records that came up that I told you were from the Philadelphia area, Jim Thorpe and the second baseman Philadelphia team. So there's something about that as well. And again, the city of health, right, because it's a hospital city. And then the term levant came up in another place, but that came up with elephant and elegant when I assessed those two words. And 618 to 72 was coming up as significant, and the next 2 months, and this was on the 27th, so again, July and August. And Titanic, as the Titanic sank on April 14th and 15th, so again, the angel and the devil energy coming up here, the light and the dark. 2014 also had come up that day to the 15, 2014 to 15. The energy of that year that you were in from 14 to 15 is the same as what you're in now. So you might want to look back. There's a lot of exchange and surrender. And again, 6/14 this past month and 15 was the 28 and 29 of the twin flames and the gift. 29 is the gift, or of being in the present moment, not just waiting for your ship to come in, but the gift of that wait, and reaching out and actually receiving back. Of 14 to 15, the angel and the devil is the light and the dark, is the gift of giving and receiving. It's the bridge going out and the bridge coming back. And now we have the read on the table here for you. Oh, sorry, I didn't get a shot of that. But it's pretty clear. I tell you all the cards. We have the Lovers in the middle here. The Chariot is the challenge. We have the Emperor over here as the block. The Five of Wands here. the Empress in the underlying energy, the Page of Cups over there, the Queen of Cups here, Alchemy, and then Divine Justice at the end here. We have the Knight of Swords over here and the Two of Swords here. All right, so this was done on the 27th at 6:46. I cut the main deck, the SIRIAN Starseed deck, and then at 6:56 to 57, I finished clarifying, which the underlying energy is the Star under the Abundance card, and then we have Abundance, the Lovers, Chariot, the Alchemy card, which is like the Temperance card, and then the Reason, which is the Emperor, and Justice. There's one wand, two cups, two swords. And the Page of Cups, the Queen of Cups, and the Knight of Swords. And before the read, we have the Knight of Wands. We have the Nine of Cups in the read, the King of Wands, the Page of Wands, and then the Queen of Wands and the King of Swords after the read. We had 22 as double numbers, and that was it. Right, only 2 and 5 were the main numbers in this read, but we also had lesser numbers there. We have 25 of the Knight of Wands, which is the most significant there, and the 22 of the Fool, 24 of the Queen of Wands, 45 of the Five of Cups, 57 of the Three of Swords, 78 of the Ten of Pentacles, 89, which for me is Phi energy of expanding, contracting, and reflecting in the middle, and then 9, 10 begin again. Again, the second coming. The code line was... there were no numbers in the code line. It's about the 0 point. And the messages were the heart after death. And instead of editor-in-chief was coming up as ed-in-chief. More man. Twin after death, seeker of the chariot rays. The half moon with wise divine justice. This energy of balance or alignment and even horizontal rows. To ignite the lowest form of life to action, the moral man to understand or hear and perceive. And again, second comes up with this definition again. To the student, the chariot shines evenly, wisely, clearly in divine justice. The liver of energy of the inner child, and it was coming up as the T energy. And I was getting tais-toi. Now, tet is the head, but tais-toi is what I was actually getting, which means be quiet. But tais-toi is coming up as the head. I'm the head, be quiet. So he's very funny. All right, so then we have the divine axis of the earth again on its spin, and the seeker of the chariot or vehicle, and the slow burn, the even rays, the queen of divine justice or Mother Nature. Water or emotions in aiding the inner child to understand or perceive the here and now. The capital T being the water, A-D. Water is the one who watts, who energizes after death, seeking the chariot, the Ark of the Covenant, the flat, level, clear, easy, continuous sharing of. Wise, clear, female, divine justice, and that comes up as the energy of Lady Portia as well, and Lady Liberty. 4 AD was also coming up, and E, which also can represent A, D, and E, as in Adam and Eve and the planet Mother Nature between, and the 4 being Father, the lambda leap. The leap after death to the E of the temple, hit, struck, stabbed, or blown, attack or shot, seizure and stroke also coming up here. The heart, ADE pulse, seconds to seek the chariot or ambulance to stabilize and clear with divine justice, or again, divine justice, a two-way street. And justice is also the Jew's path of ice, or the inner child, the inner child's temple. So we start here at abundance with at 7:58, which is the chariot and the 4 of swords. And I think I had one hiccup, but I don't remember it continuing at all. That was weird. So there might be a hiccup around 7:58. 58 again is the Four of Swords, and again, reversed 85 would then be the grounding of the union. We start with the Abundance card upright, and below it the Four of Pentacles, the Knight of Wands, the Eight of Pentacles, the Ten of Cups reversed, and the Star reversed. Okay, so that's that underlying energy right here. As the Divine Masculine's heart, the Knight of Wands with slow burn, is working to align to end emotional cycle of depression with the Empress upright. The Queen of Wands is upright with the World reversed, and broken with the King of Pentacles upright, or stuck in the 5D world with the Queen of Wands and the King of Pentacles both upright, or Divine Feminine with Pisces and or Cancer in their chart stuck in another world between the Queen of Wands and the King of Pentacles. The Dark Knight is upright here, or Scorpio makes their way without interference, right? They're going to walk right over you if you get in their way, to make an offer that may not be accepted, but hoping and visualizing for the best. And the Six of Cups, which is that 46, which keeps coming up. Or Mother and Daughter, or Aquarius reversed and Taurus upright with Pisces and Cancer both reversed, and the King of Pentacles, or Dark Knight, walking over them, can't wait for Sun to return, and walking right over them, if required, to get to the Six of Cups upright. The Divine Masculine in the Batcave, who's been offered a new life from the Nine of Pentacles reversed, could be a dependent, or we have Taurus upright and Pisces reversed, as the Knight of Wands upright at work and home, or being paid to drive back and forth. As the Empress is upright with depressed family, perhaps Divine Masculine in the Batcave or at work, and only seeing the Knight of Wands or the Queen of Wands to drive them back and forth. As the High Priestess is quiet and intuitive, needing strength and courage to end the pain, or perhaps give a massage. As Pisces or Virgo are upright with Leo reversed, or perhaps there's a pet here who's upset. Perhaps sisters who went through a long painful death are ending, or perhaps a death with their mother in specific. Sundown, New Moon, or High Priestess intuitive and weak Sun, and that can be not enough sun in the sky, having a massage or message or spiritual treatment here. The recent past here is the Page of Cups reversed, where the child feels rejected by mother, and the Empress announced or called them out in a sad message or announced a death, as the Page of Cups reversed is sad, but then goes back to work right away in an energetic exchange with the King of Cups reversed, who may be anxious to see the Queen of Cups upright, or imprisoned by each other, having to be in the same space. And there could be a child between them as well. The foundation is the Five of Wands upright and the Empress with conflicts with the Knight of Swords reversed. And I was guided back to the, I used the word love backward and forward, and it's evolve. And then I did that with light back and forth as well. And they were coming up again with depressed, but instead of depressed, it was coming up as de-surpressed, which surpress actually means surprise. So de-surprise, ed. So the de before and the ed after, which means of surprise, and ed in his reflection. So surprise, gift, to use force. And again, light this time was being abbreviated. So I was using light as an lite instead of the formal spelling. And that was coming up as ed and de with something small in the middle. So some kind of small surprise gift, but also TILIT was coming up as wooden boards or account. So again, wood, the forest, firewood, all those kind of energies have been coming up a lot. And then Liger came up. So not only is there a tie-on of the tiger-lioness connection, but the Liger is the combination of the male lion and the female tigress. And crossing here, a Liger with a tiger, or 2 parts tigress and 1 part lion. And again, we have ED and DE, so there's the 2 tigers, right? Because he's the Gur energy of the tiger. They're great. And then we have the lion in the middle, the smaller part. Oh, interesting. But now they're bringing the smaller part in the middle, though, is the 2 overlapping triangles that becomes worth more than the outer parts because there's 2 overlays. And also Diocco came up, OCCO, which is OC, right, Ocean City, or CO, which means co, right, doing things in a pair, was coming up as the forehead of Ed, Diocode, which is also Dioc and co-ed. And Dioc is to till or to harrow, to plow, at bedside. And forehead, revenge, top, peak, and summit, at the top of co-ed. Or again, this is an overlay, so it could be, they're making a funny about being on top as well. Oh, LE also means firewood, ELE, and big, and gift. So here we have that again. And intent, right? The ment is intention, MENT is also the co-creation of the giant talking tree, the humanoid talking tree, the living library. So on with the cards here is the pressure of the weight of the world. And depressed, pulling in the element. So again, this is coming up from those words I was just talking about. A risky sort, exposing all, especially the inner child, offering it all. To Libra, for justice, uncomfortable emotions retreating in the Batcave, with the cards close to the chest. The mother says, bring it on, I dare you. Exposing payoff to a judge who's unable to walk away, so just keeping their cards close for the moment here, as the central energy is the Lovers, the prisoner of the King of Cups reversed and the Queen of Cups upright, dissatisfied breaking patterns, and the duo post-war within, infection without, right? So post-war within, infection without, the 7 of Wands standing up for themselves, to the 5 of Wands group perhaps, and taking the high road, challenged by the Chariot reverse that's broken. The 5 senses of the Chariot broken, but the 6th sense is awakened within the stillness. The 5 of Pentacles in exile, and the Knight of Wands rushing back and didn't see them. Coming from an unhappy family detox or ending an emotional cycle that's very uncomfortable. Detoxing, I just wanted to say by proxy. Detoxing by taking the fall into the past. Embarrassed, though, to look, as Aquarius and Saggy or Cancer are reversed, with Taurus and Gemini upright here. Gemini or Twin challenged to break Saggy and or Cancer in. And now the Queen of Cups upright with the Page of Cups reversed with the Knight of Swords reversed, or rejected and holding their tongues, with the Knight of Cups offering love from a distance or in disconnect, not seeing eye to eye or face to face, with the Page of Swords upright and the Page of Wands reversed, who may be causing drama, with the Emperor upright and the Hierophant, and the Redcoats are coming there, with the wounded warriors surrendering to the 2 of Wands twin flame, seeing their wand more clearly, close up and equal, offering to share passions, assessing worth, and dumping emotional attachments to rise above. For the 4 of Wands union, happy home, or by 1111 with justice of the peace. Soon here is the alchemy reversed, all horsepower, M-E-M-Y. So instead of I am, it's the I am of the feminine. All horsepower of the feminine are at the Y in the road, like the martini glass as opposed to the pitchfork, which is the masculine energy. The Queen of Cups is upright, losing patience after the 6 of Wands is reversed, the 9 of Pentacles reversed, and the Magician upright, needy and spendy perhaps, with Magician manifesting or paying dependents under the table, or hiding fallen angel or angels behind the Magician's cover, again, the canopy is coming up, as the King of Wands is sitting with the Queen of Swords reversed, who's covering her heart and keeping quiet into herself, staying clear of fallen angel or Sagittarius with a temper, as the twin flames are the Two of Swords and comfortably numb, floating, in divide with conflicts or splitting the group. The Hanging Man is upright with the Knight of Pentacles, wise, humble, loyal servant, and or Pisces upright, Capricorn upright, to the King of Swords reversed, to have a look, perhaps by the Hermit, with the Ten of Pentacles reversed, family, business, or community of dysfunction or stress or suffering in silence or not sleeping, but the workplace there is stable or fighting over renovations. Now, around the twins, or how they're seen here, is the Knight of Swords reversed and the inequity of the Three of Cups upright of coming together or socializing with the Queen of Pentacles at sunrise. Maybe someone showed up at the house to socialize when someone was still asleep. And the Knight of Swords was reversed here. The block here being the Emperor, the man of reason, and maintaining the peace of mind, as the Two of Swords is between the Queen of Swords reversed and the fallen angel, or perhaps an impatient person or an impatient, moving to peace or impatient for them to move out or go back. Destined Justice, Libra for sure there, with 2 Libra cards, breaking patterns but still needing to surrender to all that is. Dissatisfied when tripping up or dropping facade. And again, this could be someone who's still unhappy with themselves, not forgiving themselves. Unhappy alone with the Seven of Cups reversed, coming downstairs to the King of Wands upright. The Emperor perhaps with temper, with justice, from of being off from the daily grind. Unhappy having to come down to see the King of Wands. And the Page of Wands reversed with the Queen of Wands upright and the King of Swords reversed may be detoxing, or Capricorn reversed with the Abundance or Empress upright and the Five of Wands upright with the Two of Swords upright and the Knight of Swords reversed with the Page of Cups reversed, getting a group to heal, to leap to themselves with the Knight of Swords and the Page of Cups. Oh, they want them to keep to, I didn't understand that word. Okay. So this whole group is getting the group to keep to themselves with the kids, the Knight of Swords and Page of Cups, who won't keep to themselves, or about their rejection, with the lovers challenged by a breakup with fallen angel or someone with a temper, as the Emperor or Man of Reason is with the Queen of Cups and Justice upright, and no longer juggling with dissatisfaction or having to repeat steps with the King of Wands, or come downstairs to see the Page of Wands reversed and the Queen of Wands upright with the King of Swords reversed, who may have been partying all night or coming in early for a visit, right, without calling first. The Empress is upright with the Page of Cups reversed, may be a rejected child or with child who's crying in pursuit of lover or affection. And the Empress is upright, so I'm not getting a miscarriage here unless someone took it very well. It could have been an very early miscarriage. But it's more of this energy of a child feeling rejected or a child crying in pursuit of a lover or her affections, the Empress, or in pursuit of the affections of the Queen of Cups upright, challenged by the Chariot reversed, a breakup or no car, as the Two of Swords is upright, knowing with peace of mind about the temper of the Knight of Swords reversed, right, who could be verbally abusive, and that could be Aquarius energy. It could also be a Taurus energy of the Empress with Aquarius in their chart, or her family, could be her father as well, with the Emperor upright, divorce, breaking up, the duo, no longer wanting to be alone and dumping emotional attachments with the King of Wands, rejecting any passion offers from the Queen of Wands, with the King of Swords reversed in detox there, or verbally abusive. And that could be that the King of Swords reversed could be the same as the Knight of Swords reversed as well, but that's their action being taken there. Or they could be two separate people. right? This could be a Virgo energy, perhaps. We had a lot of Libra coming up in the end here too. And then there could be more Aquarius energy over here. Okay, what's next? Where are we? We're at over 2 hours. Let's see how much I've left. Yeah, I think I'm going to wait because there's a few more pages to go through. And so we'll start with the 28th on the next one, but I will pull you a card here. I might even do that video for you tomorrow because that should be shorter since I have a lot less to bring you. Okay, for the twin flames and your takeaway. For the best and highest good of all those concerned. What is the takeaway here? Oh, the beautiful energies here. So there's obsession energy. Someone in this connection is gripped by obsessive thoughts and addiction. And addiction is affecting the relationship. Time alone or in nature will help you recharge, and self-care to clear your energy field. To make sure to do that before any action. Okay? The bottom of the deck has to do with forgiveness. And this could be you or a situation around you. Forgiving yourself or another will help you move forward. And there is a leap of faith. That energy's already come through. It's safe to make the move you're considering. And again, forgiving yourself or another will help you move forward. As what's going on in the current situation is this gripping thoughts, some kind of addiction going on here. And again, to retreat, to have time alone in nature that will help you recharge or ground yourself. And again, a lot of self-care. Clearing your energy field and focusing on yourself before any action taking place. Okay. I forgot to light my candles for you guys. I'm sorry about that. I meant to. I guess on the next video we'll be doing that. There may have been a reason for that because we're in the desert. Huh. I was just getting the Christmas tree too, right? We have the Sophia tree. Well, we'll see next time, okay? Remember your water, your rest, your joy, your nature. To rise and be love. And I'll see you guys next time. Have an amazing day, guys. Bye.